Hello, people of the internet, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Saturday. I am on my way to my girlfriend's house. Just left the gym. It was back and biceps today. Pretty decent workout today. Nothing crazy. My back and bi routine is very, very short and succinct because I really only do 2 workouts per muscle, and pretty much what I just do is 2 different types of curls and then pull downs and rows. Like, it's pretty fucking simple, you know what I mean? But anyway, yeah, that was today, and now I'm headed to my girlfriend's house because it is their birthday celebration weekend. And it's not actually their birthday. Their birthday was last week, but we were out of town last week, and they really wanted to do something with a bunch of our friends. So we are going to dinner. Got us a reservation at the fancy, beloved Olive Garden, so that we can so that we can go eat pasta. And then we're gonna go to the bar afterward. So it's gonna be pretty fun. Pretty stoked about it. I'm going to their house right now so that I can help them clean out their car, so that we can, or that I rather can be the designated driver for some people, because that's my job as the sober friend. First of all, a couple things. The hat, just a hat. Okay, I'm not associated with Starbucks. I don't work at Starbucks. Nothing like that. It's an old hat. I didn't have my regular hat in my car. I think I accidentally left it in my house. So that's why I'm wearing this hat. Okay? Don't worry about it. Not associated with Starbucks at all. Second of all, gonna put a little disclaimer on this video because I've been wanting to film it for a while, but it has some topics that might upset some people. Kind of what I want to talk about is how my mother was a teen mom. I was born when my mom was 18 years old and my dad was 17. And so I kind of have been wanting to talk about that because I've been thinking about it. If you were a teen parent, that's great for you. That has nothing to do with me. I'm not trying to speak necessarily on behalf of anyone except for myself. I just have been thinking about some of my experiences that I had because I had a teen mom, and I have been wanting to talk about it in one of these videos. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. I know that parenting is a really touchy subject for a lot of people because I am not a parent myself. I don't have any kids. I don't plan on ever having any kids. And so I know that people who are parents really, really hate to hear from people who aren't parents. So this isn't necessarily parenting advice. It's not really necessarily anything at all. It's just some thoughts that I have been having, and in the general format of these videos, just sort of a stream of consciousness type of situation. So yeah, if you're gonna get offended, just don't. It'll be fine, I promise. But if you are interested in hearing more of that type of thing, then stick around because that's what I want to talk about. Okay, I think my phone was overheating just now. I don't really know what happened. Okay, I think my phone was overheating, so it just stopped recording, but hopefully it doesn't do that again. I was born when my mom was 18 years old and my dad was 17, and that was in the year 2000. It was not on purpose. My parents did not get pregnant on purpose, as most teen parents do. They got pregnant on accident, and my mother had an appointment to get an abortion, and basically got psyched out and didn't end up getting an abortion, and thus here I am. Some people from the LDS church, because I live in Utah, some people tried to convince her to give me up for adoption instead of aborting me, or whatever, but that didn't end up happening. My parents kept me. So I was raised by a 17-year-old and an 18-year-old. They lived with my mom's mom for a little while, but eventually had to move out and go live on their own. My dad worked 2 jobs from the time that I was born up until probably I was I don't know, maybe 10 or 11. I don't even know, to be honest. But he worked pretty much all the time. And then when he didn't have 2 jobs, he was working graveyards. So he was gone all the time. My mom was a stay-at-home mom and stayed to take care of me and then eventually my siblings, because I have 3 siblings. And I just kind of want to talk about what my experience has been like as now an adult who was raised by somebody who was really, really young when she had me. Both of my parents were really, really young. I think trying to learn emotional maturity and emotional regulation from somebody who is essentially stuck in their teenage years, that can really not be good for a person's development, to say the least. I am of the opinion, and you can live your life however you want. Truly live your life however you like. But I am of the personal opinion that you should not be having children in your teenage years. I am honestly of the personal opinion that I don't think you should be having children before you're 28. And that's just me, as somebody who was raised by someone who was really young when she had me, and continued to have kids until she was about the age that I am now. Was around when she had my youngest sibling. I'm just speaking from my own personal experience. How many times can I say that? That I don't think you should be having kids that young. And because my parents had babies when they were 17, they are both emotionally, and as far as maturity goes, they are both stuck at a pretty young age. I think to some extent they've grown past 17 at least, but I think it's really, really hard to learn accountability and to learn emotional intelligence and self-awareness when you are focused on keeping babies alive. And when you're 17, 18, 19, even into your mid-20s, there's a lot of stuff that you're learning. There's a lot of brain development that happens in those years. There was for me anyway. I don't know. There was for me, for sure. Going from 17 to 20, there was so much that changed in my brain. And I had so much to learn about life and being an adult and how to treat other people. And, I'm still learning things all the time, obviously. Those years are so key to your development as a good person, a good partner, a good friend, and, a good parent. Those years are really key to learning the skills that you need in order to function properly as a human. And I just mean emotionally. You really need those years to be saturated with experiences and people your own age and relationships with people of diverse backgrounds, so that you can learn how to treat people properly. And I am of the personal belief that at least my parents didn't get exposed to enough other people their age, didn't have enough relationships outside of each other, and didn't have the room to focus on their own emotional growth to be able to ever grow past the age they were when they had me. I think being a teen parent has got to be the scariest thing ever. I think that has to maybe be the scariest thing that you could possibly experience. I think back to when I was 17 and 18, and the person that I was and the life that I was living. I could barely, feed myself. Like, I did not take care of my body at all. I didn't take care of my mind at all. I was severely depressed and going through all sorts of crazy, crazy changes involving my mental illness that was not diagnosed and then was misdiagnosed again and again. And I cannot imagine if that equation had included children that I had to raise from the ground up, and that I felt like, or that I didn't, that I felt like I didn't have support for, or that I didn't have support for. Especially to have, one parent be the stay-at-home parent and the other one is working all the time. My dad wasn't there to parent me. I don't remember my dad ever doing something like disciplining me or like teaching me things about life. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have memories of him in my life probably before I'm like 16 years old. I don't really have any significant memories of my dad. That was what he had to do in order for us to live. The only way was for my mom to stay home and take care of us and for him to go to work. And so then on the one hand, I have this parent that's not ever there. And then on the other hand, I have a parent who is always there. And my mom doesn't have a driver's license still, didn't have a car. So we didn't leave the house. So it got to be that it was four of us, and then, I mean, five, including her, and we were in the house all the time, the five of us. And I don't know about you, but if you're imagining being 24 years old with no driver's license, no car, your husband is gone for most of the day, and you have four children, me personally, not to be gauche, not to be whatever, I would kill myself. I don't know how my mom didn't. I have no idea how she literally lived through that. And there were a lot of ways that she learned to cope that, suffice to say, those coping mechanisms are the reason that I am the way that I am now. So, I just think about the people that I went to high school with, and keep in mind, none of the people that I was really close with are having babies. So the people that I know that I went to high school with, these are all people that I know very distantly. I knew them when we were teenagers, and that is it. So I can't judge these people and what type of parents they are. I just look at these people having kids from ages 18, oh God, from ages 18 to 21. And it just blows my mind. It just absolutely blows my mind because I had this experience where I saw what it did to my parents. I saw what it did to my mom and my dad and their marriage and the people around them and their relationships with other people. I saw all of that firsthand from childhood up until I stopped talking to them 2 years ago. And I know what it does to someone. I know that it is pretty much impossible to actually grow as a person when you have kids that young. And I have known since I was pretty young that I'm not interested in ever having children personally. So it just blows my mind to see people having babies so young. And when somebody, especially when a girl is 17, 18 and is talking about how she wants to have babies with her boyfriend, she wants to get married, people are getting engaged at 17, 18, 19, or even just like being with the same person from when you're like 15 until, for years and years. I just want so badly to grab people and shake them by the shoulders and say, don't do it. Do not do that. You don't need to have a baby right now. You don't need to get married right now. That person will still be there. If you're really going to be with them for the rest of your life, that person will still be there in 5 to 10 years when you're an actual adult and you have actually lived some life. And marriage is forever. Like, it's not really. Like, we know that it's not. But it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? It's supposed to be forever. So when people are 17, 18 and getting married, it's so crazy to me because I'm like, how can you know what you're going to want when you're 60? I don't understand. How can you possibly know that at 17 or 18 years old? There's no way. There's literally no way. If I had the things now that I thought I wanted when I was 17, 18, holy shit, I would be in a loveless marriage with a man that I have nothing in common with. I probably would still be in the closet. I wouldn't be out as transgender probably. Like, I would be miserable if I had the things that I thought I wanted when I was 18. And so I think about people that are getting married, people that are having babies. Having babies is so permanent. That's forever, dude. And once you bring a baby into the world, you don't get to undo that ever. And even if you give the baby up, like, say you get pregnant on accident, you're 17, 18, and you give the baby up, you're still giving that baby a whole set of complexes. They still have a whole set of, a whole bunch of trauma from the fact that they were born and then given up for adoption, which I think that's, for a lot of people, the right thing to do. And I'm not saying like that I don't encourage people to give up a baby if they think somebody else could give the baby a better life. But like, even that, like, you're bringing another baby into the world that's going to have to go into the foster care system, or that's going to end up with some other family that like no matter how well you vet them, who knows what kind of person they are, you know? It's just so crazy to me. And I am telling you from the perspective of a 24-year-old adult who was raised by two teen parents. I'm telling you not to do it. I'm really sorry to say this, but I'm telling you not to do it because I'm grateful for life. I am. Sorry, I don't want my phone to overheat in the window. I'm grateful for my life. And I'm at the point right now where I see a lot of hope for my future. And I feel like there's a lot out there for me. But from the time that I was 13, 14, up until I was 22, I was miserable. I was so depressed. I am riddled with mental illness that I didn't know anything about. I was suicidal. When I was 14, I was suicidal. The first time that I ever thought about suicide, I was probably 11. And when you are already predispositioned to have mental illness, and then on top of that, you have two parents who are incredibly emotionally immature, who don't understand what you're going through, who have a hard time seeing themselves as the adult and you as the child, it will mess you up so much worse. Because that is what it was. My parents didn't see themselves as adults and me as a child. They saw us as equals because they haven't matured past 17. So when I was 16 years old, my parents hated me. My mom hated me. I don't care if she would deny that or not. It's just true. She didn't like me. She didn't like the person that I was. She didn't like the things that I was going through. She didn't want to have to deal with me. And that is because she has the emotional maturity of another teenager. So I'm 16 years old, and in her head, she's 17 years old. And then we're trying to function in a parent-child relationship. And it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. If there are teen moms that are really good moms with really well-adjusted children, great. That's really great. But I just don't see that as a thing that really happens in the real world. I've never seen anything like that before. I've never heard of a teen mom with now an adult child that the adult child is like, yeah, I'm super well adjusted and my parents were really present for me emotionally. And like, I've just never heard of anything like that. And I'm telling you from my personal experience that my childhood was not like that. I didn't have two people who were able to control their emotions when my emotions were at a high. When I'm 15, 16, 17 and I have really high, my emotions are really intense because I'm a teenager and I'm going through a lot of changes and I'm going through a lot of hormonal stuff. I'm going to be angry. I'm going to say things that are mean. I'm going to be a brat. That's how teenagers are. That's how every teenager is. But I didn't have two people who could be patient with me and who could understand that I was going through, puberty and that I was just growing as a person and that I needed time to be kind of an asshole. My parents held me fully accountable for every single thing that I said and did when I was between the ages of 15 and 17. Every single thing that I did, I was held to 100% accountability for. I was never given any leeway. I was never given any room to grow. And my parents still, to this day, hold me accountable for who I was when I was 16. And keep in mind, it's not like I'm like fucking robbing convenience stores and like hitting people. Like it was like I was emotionally volatile. I was depressed and I was angsty. And my parents still hold me accountable for that and will use that when I'm telling them that they traumatized me. They'll be like, well, when you were 16, you were doing this and this and this. When I told my mother that I was abused and neglected, she tried to say that I abused her. And she said, just because you're the child and I'm the parent doesn't mean you can't abuse me, which is false. Hey, by the way, that's false because there's a power imbalance there. So you can't abuse somebody if they have power over you. That's just not the way that works. But my parents genuinely held me to adult standards when I was a teenager. And they still hold me to that person that I was when I was a kid. I was a kid. 16 is a kid. I have cousins, and I have a lot of cousins. Again, I'm from Utah. I have seen them go through certain phases. Now, I'm not their parent, so it's different. I'm not there all the time, you know? I don't see them super often, but I can tell you that for my cousins that live further away, I went to visit some family 2 years ago, and one of my cousins was 15 at the time, and she did not want to talk to us. She did not want to hang out with us. Was very much like, everything is really embarrassing and I'm way too cool for school and whatever. And then I just went and saw her again recently, and she's bubbly and fun and wanted to hang out with us and wanted to talk to us, and we're all making jokes and like having a good time together. She's 17 now. Because when you're 15, you're a shithead. You're wrapped up in your own fucking head. You think that the entire world is about you and that everything is about you, and nobody can convince you that everything isn't about you, because your world is this big. It's literally this big. So when I saw my cousin, and she's 17 now, and now she wants to hang out with us, and now she wants to talk to us, I'm not going to be like, wow, when you were 15, you didn't want to hang out with me and you didn't want to talk to me. And keep in mind, she's a good kid. Like, she's not like how I was, but like, I'm not going to be like, well, when you were 15, you were like this, and now all of a sudden you're like this. Yeah, because a lot of changes happen in those years. Hey, idiot. A lot of things happen in that time. So, of course, she's going to be different. You're going through a bunch of bodily changes and changes in your mind, changes with your hormones, all of this different shit. Like, you're going through a lot of stuff. You're going to be an asshole. But my parents have the emotional maturity of children, so they don't understand that at all. They were held accountable for everything that they did when they were 16 and 17 and 18, because they had a baby, because they had a child, and that will make it so that you have to be held accountable for a lot more shit. You have to be held to adult standards. But when I was 21, 22, barely 22, my dad's telling me, why don't you have your shit together? You can't be a barista forever. You have to get your shit together. You have to get a career. You have to figure out something to do with your life. When I was 22, I'm supposed to have my shit together at 22? You must be kidding. You absolutely must be kidding, because I'm surrounded by people in their 20s, and I'm telling you that none of us have our shit figured out. Most of us work at a fucking Whole Foods. Like, most of us work together at a shitty fucking grocery store. And I have friends that are going to school and dropping out and changing majors, and, that were in one career field and then switched over. People that don't talk to their parents, people that don't live at home, people that moved from across the country, like people who still do live at home and are trying to navigate what it would be like to leave that environment. Like, there are so many different stages of being in your 20s, but I'm telling you right now, not a single part of that is, I have my shit together. Not a single person that I know. I have friends that have a lot of money and parents that adore them and that raise them properly and that are in happy, healthy homes and they had happy, healthy childhoods, and those people don't have their shit together. I'm telling you, those people don't have their shit together. So this idea that I've been held to these impossible standards my entire life. I was a gifted kid. I was in a gifted program in elementary school. I was ahead of the learning curve. I had a really high reading level, whatever. I had autism. I had undiagnosed autism. That's what it was. So I've been held to these impossible standards my whole life. When I was a kid, my family used to say I was 6 going on 16. I was never allowed to be a child. And I was never allowed to be a teenager who was just shitty and just did whatever. Shitty little delinquent shit. I never went to fucking juvie. I never did anything illegal besides like smoke weed. Like, I was just held to these crazy high standards, and I look back and I'm like, that kid did not deserve to be treated that way. And I'm telling you that if you are younger than 28 and you're having kids, you're putting your kids at risk to feel this way when they get older. To feel like they were never given the chance to be children because their parents relied on them to be emotionally 10 years more mature than they were at all times. And that's just the way that it is when you're a teen parent. So that's my perspective. It's interesting because I don't know a lot of people whose parents were teenagers when they were born. Most of my friends, their parents were in their 20s to 30s when they were being born. My parents are by far the youngest parents of anyone that I know. They're 42. My father just turned 42. Yeah, my parents are 42. I'm 24. Like, yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see. I wish that I could have some insight in 10 or 15 years, 20 years into the children of people that I graduated high school with and what that is going to look like for them having had a parent that was between the ages of 18 and 21 when they were born. And this isn't about any one person in particular. There's a lot of people from my high school that graduated and then went on to have babies. There's a lot of people. So, and I'm not saying those people are bad parents by any means. I'm just saying that I'm 24 and I look back at my childhood and I'm like, wow, that's insane. I was being raised by actual children. 17, you're an actual fucking child. And I'm telling you that as somebody I was 18 6 years ago. Like, it wasn't that long ago. I remember it. I remember how I felt at the time, and I know how I feel now. And I'm telling you that if I had a baby now, if I were to get my girlfriend pregnant or whatever right now, I would not be ready. I would not be old enough. I would not have enough experience. I would not have the emotional maturity, let alone if I had done that when I was 18. So, that's just kind of what I've been thinking about. I have to go help my girlfriend clean out their car now because they texted me about 10 minutes ago asking if I was on my way still. Thank you for watching this. The trauma dump was kind of fun. I haven't done one that is about sort of mental health in kind of a while. I do just want to say I'm doing great. Emotionally and mentally, I have never been better than I am right now. And a giant portion of that is the fact that in December, I blocked both of my parents' phone numbers. And I haven't heard from them at all since then. And since doing that, my mental health has gone up so fucking quickly. If you are thinking about cutting your parents out of your life, this is your fucking sign to do that shit. I have literally never been happier. If you have a good relationship with your parents, great. Very good for you. But I'm telling you, if you're a person that's been like, I don't know, maybe I should go no contact with my parents, do it, dude. Because seriously, yes, it's painful. And yes, it's been painful to deal with. And especially with losing contact with my siblings, it's been really, really hard. But cutting my parents out of my life feels like I just went into fucking remission from having cancer. It feels like I just got a tumor removed. It is so much weight off of me to not have those people in my life anymore and not care if I impress them and not care if they love me. I don't care if they think about me. I don't care if they like me. I don't care about those things because there's people in my life who do love me and are impressed by me and proud of me. Those are people who have goals that inspire me and who have lives that inspire me and that I admire and that I look up to and that I'm like, life is worth living because I'm around these people. And I did not feel that way about my parents. So if you don't feel that way about someone, why do you care if they're fucking impressed by you? Why do you care about that? You know? Anyway, thanks for listening. My Instagram is @queer.edge. If you want to follow me there. Yeah, I don't know how to end this, but thanks for listening. This was a long one. I could have made it about an hour and a half longer. Yeah, I will talk to you next time.